There, we're good. All right, a couple people are traipsing in, but I'll just start with the introductory video and then we'll get right into it.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. You are someone else, I am still right here. What have I become? My sweetest friend, everyone I know goes away in the end. If I could start again, a million miles away, I would keep myself, I would find a way.
All right, good afternoon, Xpocanna. How are we feeling today in my fair town of Southington? I'm glad to see that some people have come out, but this is kind of the rhyme and reason as to why I'm out here is we need more people to come out. We need more people to get up and get behind good ideas to lead so that we can actually open marketplaces up to new people. There's hemp growers, there's home growers, there's all kinds of people who are on the sideline. And today we want to talk about sustainability and how that affects those markets. I've definitely got a lot of material that I want to cover today, so I'm going to kind of jump right into it. But before I do, I want to thank Xpocanna. I want to thank the Aquatur for hosting. I want to thank Wes Jenks, who has called me to come here and be a part of this convention since it started, the original Xpocanna, which was at Mohegan Sun in a brand new nascent industry. So a lot of the ideas that I'm talking about here today, I've talked about at length numerous times in numerous different stops. So none of this is new. A lot of these ideas actually go way back into the past as we see. A few disclaimers about what's going on. I'm a one-man band, so as you can see, a lot of the videos and audio and slides and stuff like that, not my specialty. Okay, I do these because I have to do these in order to bring this message forward. I spend my time, and it's a lot of time to go on. If I got to charge myself how much I got paid per hour to put this presentation together, the answer is zero. That's how much there. But be ready for bad jokes and poor quality, but we are certainly going to do our best to get the message forward. I also want to mention that I'm going to use prominent political figures in my presentation as we go through. And I want you guys to understand, I'm not promoting any of them. Okay, this is just part of my journey that's brought you in front of us today. So I don't want to hear Ned Lamont this, Donald Trump that. This is about cannabis, about the plant, and a lot of times in this industry, we kind of get sidetracked away from the plant and the people into these small politics, which we want to avoid wholeheartedly. And I'm here to talk plainly and honestly with you. Please keep in mind that I am an imperfect man. I don't have a complete picture on things. This is just my life and my experiences and the conclusions that I've reached as a person here in our Connecticut cannabis industry. So at the end of the day, please don't kill the messenger. Okay, I'm just here to deliver an idea. All right, so who is the stylishly handsome, stylish cat in front of you today? Let's.
Stood there bold,
Sweating in the sun, felt like a million, felt like number one. The height of summer, I never felt that strong, like a rock. Oh! I was 18, didn't have a kid, working for peanuts, not a dime to spare. But I was leaning, solid everywhere, like a rock. Go, hands were steady, eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light, and I held firm to what I felt was right, like a rock, like a rock. I was strong as I could be, like a rock. Nothing ever got to me, like a rock. I was something to see, like a rock. And I stood arrow straight, unencumbered by the weight of all these hustlers and their schemes. I stood proud, I stood tall, high above it all. I still believed in my dreams.
Imagine a brand new industry fit for the industrial zone.
Had a feeling that I belong. Had a feeling I could be someone, be someone. 20 years now, where'd they go? 20 years, I don't know. I sit and I wonder sometimes where they've gone. And sometimes late at night, oh, when I'm bathed in the firelight, moon comes calling a ghostly way, and I recall, like a rock, standing arrow straight, like a rock, charging from the gate, like a rock, carrying the weight, like a rock.
Okay, so it's real talk. That's the real me, and I've tried as many ways as a man can try, from inside the industry, from outside of the industry, tried to get inside at state jobs to bring this farmers market proposal forward. And the reason why I stand in front of you guys today is because this is the right thing to do. This is what the people need. This is it's a major movement for me, from my heart and from what I see. And I know there's a lot of people that are with me and want these things forward, but it's hard to gather people into a space. It's hard to get people unified under a single flag to try to bring some of these things together. So what I stand for now is my Institute for Sustainability, Project Noah's Ark. And just know that I don't come out here lightly. I would much rather be home playing in well, there's no dirt right now because it's frozen, but I would rather be in the dirt. I would rather, not have to step forward in front of a group of people and possibly to the World Wide Web and beyond. It is simpler and sustainable for me not to do that, but I do step forward. Right? And the reason why I chose Noah's Ark is in the big top, I read the good book, and that story resonated with me. And I want everybody to know that there is an alternative way. There is a different way, a place that we can get to if we work together. And it is through this Institute for Sustainability that I hope to be able to reach out and start my own sustainable farm and education center, which I am diligently working on as we speak. As we go through our talk today, we're going to talk about some vocabulary words, the first of which is sustainability, which is meeting the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generations, okay? The three pillars of sustainability. All right, when talking about sustainability, we're going to talk about how this farmer's market applies to each of these pillars of sustainability as we move through. All right, there's the social pillar, the environmental pillar, and the economic pillar. And if you're in the corporate world, there's a lot of different variations of this, but again, to keep it simply, we stick with these three right here. All right, the first pillar that I'm going to talk about today is the environmental pillar. Okay, our pivot back to sustainable cultivation methods is inevitable. And I say back because that's where cannabis cultivation started. It was sustainable. There was no other way to do it. It was either something you could continue to do, or you probably died a horrible death back in the day trying. And I have a video about our history. There we go. Okay, we're back. All right, I've always found the cannabis in canvas. All right, so they do canvas sales, canvas closing. It originally, the word cannabis was the derivative of that. Cannabis, canvas. So when you're talking about it, know where it started, and that was with our cannabis plant. And as far as the Renaissance goes, hopefully I'm going to be here to try to usher this in. And of course, as one man, it is always a giant lift, but I will certainly keep going as we move through. All right, when we talk about sustainable farming, okay, it's a little dark right there. I don't know if that's one of the Greyjoys from Game of Thrones. We got any Game of Thrones fans out here? One? Just one? Only one? Okay, well you guys got some good HBO in front of you, that's for sure. Or Max now, as it's called. But anyway, so there's the iron price, which means you worked hard, you dug, you bootstrapped it, you went through, or the gold price where you pony up X amount of dollars and get there. When you're gardening or farming sustainably, you always pay the iron price, okay? Mother Nature has a great way of giving things, but she is pretty fickle and will certainly take them right back away from you. All right, and there's my buddy Elon up there. Okay, let's start with the most rudimentary of all sustainable practices, using the sun. Outdoor cultivation under that, as Elon calls it, fusion reactor in the sky. It costs nothing, and in my humble opinion, natural sunlight is the greatest source of energy for our cannabis plants when properly harnessed. If we're talking about sunlight, it should be mandatory if we're going to do this sustainably. However, as it stands right now, only a small fraction of our legal cannabis growers in the state can use the sun. And here's the kicker. It's actually illegal for home and medical recreational growers, but completely legal for licensed cultivators. Okay, you can take my second vocabulary word, segregation. Okay, this is a word you probably hear a lot, but it's the separation for, special treatment, or observation of individuals or items from a larger group. So in this particular situation, we have segregated licensed cultivators. They may use the sun, but home growers and free people, no sun for you. And to me, not only is that segregation, it's also a grave injustice. The easiest step towards environmental sustainability, the low-hanging fruit that we have here, is removing this injustice and allowing the people to use sunlight for their cannabis plants. All right, compost, reduce, reuse, recycle. In order to produce sustainably high quality organic cannabis, composting is a necessity. The amount of waste, okay, this is cannabis waste, and you can see the different types of it, whether it's media, whether it's plant stalks, whether it's flour, all that stuff that's coming out of these facilities and is just going into our local dumps is astronomical. Okay, you want deeper colors, more pungent fragrances, and sweeter taste. Cannabis compost is your answer. Okay, the cannabis plant has over 480 chemical compounds inside of it. When you break that down and you turn it into a compost, you're creating a superfood for it doesn't even have to be cannabis plants that you're regrowing with. It could be your tomato plants, it could be corn, it could be a lot of different things, but you have an outstanding building block. And I've used it, I've tested it, and it is sensational every single time we get out there. Allowing the best role of government here is to centralize these types of ideas. Okay, so we have all our different cultivators that are out here, and they're producing all this stuff. Let's just set it up where, okay, we can centralize all this stuff so we can start collecting it and turning it into these hard assets on scale. The full farm approach. So you see here, okay, my sustainable proposal is to be a full farm. Most farms that you see, they're monoculture farms, which means they're growing one plant and one plant only. There's all these sidecars. So I've been able to raise chickens sustainably. And you can see that the chickens made out of hemp stalk waste. They made a nest. Okay, they took the pits from the inside, made a nice little thing, laid their eggs in there. Okay, the rabbits dug burrows inside the cocoa waste. All right, this is sustainable farming. This is what it looks like. All right, this is an excellent, when you're farming cannabis, it's actually an excellent opportunity for vermiculture, aquaponics, biochar production, and just biochar, there was not an and. No mention on the heavy hitting role that cannabis can play in our ecology, okay? My old professor would say, put your pencils down when you got to an important point, so we're gonna put our pencils down. Nobody's got them going anyway, but high quality cannabis and additional hard assets can be cultivated for the cost of zero minus a farmer's time. Okay, so our bottom line here is zero when we're doing things sustainably. That's a lot of meat that's left on the bone, right? I don't want anybody to be confused about that though. I mentioned earlier, nature is fickle. It can take things away. Sustainable farming is not easy. It is actually extremely difficult, right? To sit there and watch 75% of your grape, which happened to me. Okay, I do it totally sustainably, no sprays, water, no chemical fertilizers, and watch your grape, 75% of your grape crop just disappear in front of you. That's tough to deal with. Okay, but that's the fact. That's the tide. You give that back. There are still 25% of grapes that were still stronger for suffering and moving on past that stage. So not only is cannabis and cannabis composting and the full farm approach, does that lead to higher quality bud, but it's also environmentally stimulating, produces a multitude of hard assets, like I mentioned before, biochar, worm castings, compost, paper, building materials, feeder insects, and is a fantastic base for our economic pillar. Our next topic, bioremediation. It is my firm belief that humanity's most noble callings, our ecological niche, is to wield nature and work within its confines through methods like the full farm approach and bioremediation, which we're talking about now. Phytoremediation, more specific to cannabis itself, is defined as a plant-based approach which involves the use of plants to extract and remove environmental pollutants and lower their bioavailability in the soil. Biochar will take that a step extra. So when you produce biochar, the plant will take it up. You produce biochar. Biochar locks the pollutants away. This is why we have to test cannabis, okay? Because it is a regular acceptor of these heavy metals, okay? So this is, if you put it in an area where there's toxicity in the soil, it's going to vacuum it up. But I don't know that you want to be smoking that afterwards. It's got to go to a different site. I mentioned before about its interactions in the ecology. So aquatic ecology, you basically have a free water filter there. That'll help to clean your water for you. Get the plant and your aquatic ecosystems more buttoned up by growing cannabis nearby. We have seen nature's ability to heal itself. Okay, we just have to let it get on the dance floor. All right, and the dance floors are plenty. Okay, towns across Connecticut are littered with what's called brownfield sites. Okay, and these are toxic dumps. I'm sure you've driven by them on the highway and you've seen them, old rundown buildings, and who knows what's underneath them. But I can tell you one thing, that a fully sustainable regenerative farm on these properties, healing them, is of much better use to any municipality than these rundown buildings that we see right here as far as our economic pillar is concerned. All right, another vocabulary word. This one's a good one. Oxymoron. First, let me tell you about the economic pillar before we go into oxymoron, all right? But in the economic pillar, we're talking about honest accounting, transparency, and regulatory compliance, okay? So this word we're talking about here is a oxymoron, pairs opposing terms like jumbo shrimp, deafening silence, virtual reality, living dead, and I'm going to add one here, optional law. Optional law. So you see right here, that is a disproportionately impacted area right here in our town of Southington. But Southington has opted out of the cannabis markets as they exist right now. So even though there is a DIA here in our fair town of Southington, you can't get to it because the law does not apply here. It is out. So when we're making these laws, the definition of law is something that everybody has to follow. If we're in the business of making optional laws, and it seems like we are, I can give a laundry list of laws in our fair state of Connecticut that I would like to make optional, but I don't think anybody will be hearing that noise. All right, this is Ayn Rand. The smallest minority on earth is the individual. Those who deny individual rights cannot claim to be defenders of minorities. All right, the word social equity is thrown all over the place. But business acumen is simply unacceptable for simple farmers. Where is the opportunity for the individual, that small farmer, that home grower, that hemp farmer? There is no opportunity. So we're claiming we're making social equity, but yet these individuals are left standing out in the cold. And I have to ask if John Galt, is he in the stands? John? No? John Galt? Who is John Galt? No? All right, cannabis cultivation has become a bureaucrat's wildest dream. So here we have our farmers sitting there waiting, and then we have all our friends who are in the next room over there, the lawyers, the accountants, the marketers, the anything but farmer. Okay, they are out there in the other room, and they have a big say in what that guy with the shovel has to do. As I wandered, and many of them, you saw videos at the beginning of me at some of the other functions that have been there. I've never been more shocked by the amount of attorneys, accountants, marketers, government agencies proliferating at these events. So many needless bodies between the farmer and the market. Oodles of regulations and new regulations continue to pile up, making it very difficult to stay in front of and accurately forecast business development. The goalposts have been moved all over the place, and several hundred pages of regulations have come and they have gone. Former regulations allowed the sale of THC seltzers, and now, in an over-the-top mistake, the answer was to kick all your hemp farmers and with regulations that make most of their products either unprofitable or illegal outright. Destroying working farms is never good for the economic pillar. But I guess it was great for the package stores because now they're in on the action while the farmers are still home waiting for something. All right. Talking about sustainability. Originally, back in the day, there was no plant testing. And here's some examples of a certificate of analysis. Okay, you had your plant tested and stuff like that. There was none of that. You just met with your farmer, got your product, and went along on your business. All right. And speaking of testing, why is there only a limited number of labs in our state of Connecticut? What about licensing your university system to do it? This would be a turnkey enterprise for the state of Connecticut. They already have the professionals, they already have the equipment, there's just a will to do so. And actually, with my proposal, I'd actually like to go a step further with that, and I'd like to license our universities to be able to produce recreational cannabis, okay? No need to shake the hat for more public funding, and if you're not aware right now, our university system is in major financial trouble, okay? They're looking for more money. We can let them fund themselves by just allowing them to to cultivate cannabis. Who wouldn't want some University of Connecticut cannabis that's been produced? Wow, we're watching the Huskies win back to back, and we're probably going to go back one more time this March. Okay, but again, to get behind and be able to support these universities just through purchasing products that you would normally purchase, I think that's a turnkey industry, and we really need to take a hard look at that. Any Huskies in the room? We got any Huskies out there? All right, UConn? Yes, it is an ag school, and they have a nascent cannabis program over there. I've talked to a lot of the professors over there, for sure. All right, next slide here. I'm sorry, I got to fumble with this while I'm used to a wider bench here. All right, deregulation, bureaucrats' worst enemy, but a free market's best friend. It's past time to simplify the Connecticut industry and take a hard look at deregulation. If the state wants a tight medical program and integrate cannabis into the medical industrial complex and fulfill its best purpose, go for it. That's what we're there for. And I actually heard the ombudsman on TV saying this was something she's chasing after. Good, that's a noble cause. Go get it. I hope she does. I've mentioned this since the inception of our recreational market. Medical insurances should be paying for medicine, right? That's what they do. That's again a common sense approach. And put your pencils down one more time. All right, and this is another important point for you. The recreational market, which currently was a doubling of the medical market, the recreational market is supposed to be for the people, okay? Not pencil pushers. We need to clear our roads and make our Connecticut market unique, sustainable, and groundbreaking. And there's our logo for Connecticut right now. Make it here, okay? You'll be very interested to see that it doesn't say except cannabis products, okay? They didn't make that disclaimer right here. But as far as innovation and industry, and you saw a video of me trying to bring industry to industrial zones in a municipality, cannabis has a wide open floor plan in front of it. There's a lot of new jobs and new industry that can be created if we just let it.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in reverse, and the tears come streaming down your face. When you're too loved to let it go, but if you never try, you'll never know just what you love. Lights will guide you home, and ignite your bones. I will try to fix you. Feels free of your face. Lights will guide you home, and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
Change is always difficult, Bringing bold new ideas to the forefront is not without cost, but we can pour together a strong foundation for a sustainable economic pillar with my pilot program, which we're going to take a dive into shortly. Lastly, the social pillar. All right, here's our definition of social equity. All right, the most important thing I want to talk about here is the definition of equity: freedom from bias or favoritism. Okay, that's going to be a big theme as we move forward here. Probably should have set that alone as another vocab word, but again, the freedom from bias. Can we honestly say that our current marketplace is free from bias? Okay, are there certain groups of people that are allowed or not allowed things? Anytime we draw a line, we are creating bias. We are creating favoritism. Right. Farming is easy when your plow is a pencil and you're 1,000 miles from a cornfield. So what we have is, it's not the farmers that are writing policy. It's not the guys that are sticking their hands in the ground while raising these crops. It is others who are bringing about many of the regulations. All right, and in these regulations, there is a ton of arbitrary numbers littered throughout it. Hundreds of pages, DIA maps that have changed 3 times, and with my eligibility as a social equity applicant. All right, and by drawing lines on the map, you are actively segregating. Okay, when you say it's in here, but it's out here, you've created a segregation. You are segregating right there. All right, and if you're in the real estate market, it's actually called redlining. It's illegal. You can't do that. You can't do that kind of stuff. But here in our cannabis industry, go ahead, redline all you like. All right. Whenever you create categories, you create a bias. When you create a bias, you are in direct conflict of that word, social equity. Segregation is a sword that cuts both ways, keeping humans out and keeping humans in. But my proposal keeps it simple. Everybody comes in through the same door. Doesn't matter what make or model you are. If you want the opportunity, this is the door. Go get it. It's based on merit. Paperwork is the embalming fluid of bureaucracy, maintaining an appearance of life where none exists. I'm not going to belabor the insane amount of forms for growing and farming a plant. I have a lot of real life experience filling out forms. Okay, I was a real estate broker. I've owned many businesses and stuff like that. Paperwork in the cannabis industry takes the cake. Okay, and again, it's all needless. We had an industry before there was paperwork. We need to get back to that. But for somebody who can be an excellent farmer, but doesn't have a clue about regulatory agencies and appropriate forms and documentations, it is definitely not socially sustainable. Farming is for the layman. Raising millions, filling out forms, responding to emails is the antithesis of the hard-working farmer. If we can't get sustainable farmers off the ground to get the knowledge, experience out of this generation, how are we going to get that information to the next generation of farmers? Right? Students need a place to learn. And with my pilot program, there's a built-in apprenticeship for farms to take in interns with real-world, hands-on, sustainable experience. Allowing farmers access to the sun, markets, and educational programs to empower the future farmer is a strong base for that economic pillar. All right, now we've reached the moment of truth. This is not the first time I've talked about this Connecticut Cannabis Farmers Market. All right, I've gone and I've tried to chase this down. I went, as soon as it got legalized and as soon as Ginny Ray was head of the Social Equity Council, I went to DCP headquarters and Ginny Ray's office, and let me tell you what a palace they got going on in Hartford. Okay, and I sat with her and laid this proposal out point blank to her. And I said, wouldn't this be something the Social Equity Council was in? And then I got spun off to 1,000 other people, and it died on the vine like things usually do when you have a novel idea. All right, here comes one of my quick cartoons for the introduction here.
This is crazy.
Deregulate, desegregate, and we can have a championship market for all the people. So it's easy to cast stones, okay? So I'm up here and I've picked apart a lot of different things. It's another thing to come forward with solutions, particularly sustainable solutions. To me, a sustainable marketplace will always boil down to skilled farmers who can cultivate a high-quality product with the best margins sustainably. Think microbrewery. There will always be industrial-scale growers, but there's also superior, locally produced and supplied cannabis, a place where you can know your grower and local market picks the winners and losers. But before I get into the plan, I want to stress precedent has already been placed, past precedent. Okay, that's another one of our definitions. So we have the right to do this right now. All right, a precedent is a previous action, decision, or situation that can be used as an example or rule for a similar action in the future. And that was Google AI who fielded that definition for me. All right, so we're gonna start off with some heavy hitters as far as past precedents. Soundtrack will be available after. It's only in CDs though, guys.
I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
If the people decide what the foods they eat and what medicines they take, their bodies will soon be as sorry state as those souls that live under tyranny. That's Thomas Jefferson. George Washington, make the most of the Indian hemp seed and sow it everywhere. First president of our United States. Thomas Jefferson again. Some of my finest hours have been spent on my back veranda smoking hemp and observing the eye as far as my eye can see. It's John Adams, our second president. Want a world of hemp, more for our own consumption. These were revolutionaries. And that's Barack Obama. When I was a kid, I inhaled frequently. That was the point. Definitely a fan of cannabis. That's Henry Ford. And he talks about, instead of ripping down forests, use hemp fields which are consistently renewable. Hemp is the first necessity to the wealth and protection of the country. I love Thomas Jefferson. That's why he's up there a bunch. And that's Bill Murray. I find it quite ironic that the most dangerous thing about weed is getting caught with it. How did Bill sneak his way on it? Tricky guy. And that's Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice. Honestly, my favorite things are sitting on my front porch smoking a pipe of sweet hemp and playing his Hoffman harmonica. All right, so those were patriots of the original revolution. Those were American presidents talking positively about cannabis. All right, so not only do we have former presidents in our corner, but we have the mandate, the Social Equity Council, their stated mission, and I'm gonna just hit the highlights here, was developed in order to make sure the adult use cannabis is grown equitably. Remember from our vocabulary earlier, that is without bias, okay, which we are currently failing on. But however, I have a proposal which is equitable, all right, and their ethics mission statement, provide leadership and service to support the state's adult use cannabis program and provide individuals in disproportionately impacted areas the opportunity to participate in the program under Public Act 21-1. Okay, I am the leadership. I am here. I am speaking out. You won't hear this coming out of any Social Equity Council members. Okay, everybody is fine with this, with the status quo. all right? But the opportunity is what we need. And here's a fun one. This is from a law, okay? This is public law right now, Public Act 23-79. The state of Connecticut was supposed to form a council to study allowing individuals who are authorized to cultivate cannabis in their residence to sell at retail such cannabis at events organized at least in part to facilitate such sales. So we have a state law that was passed to check this out and see if we can do this, but guess what? This council was never formed. They never did anything like that. They just simply ignored this part of the law. Is that right? Is that just? Is it my place to figure that out? No, it's not. I'm just providing light. My proposal would fit nicely. I can do that for them freely. I volunteer my time to do it. All right, and now finally here is the proposal. And I'm not gonna, I have it all in text. I'm not gonna bore you guys to read through, but the long and short of it is I'm looking for a pilot program, which is how hemp came to Connecticut. And what I want is 24 licenses for home growers, for hemp growers, for universities, okay, where people can come and show and say, hey, this model, where this is the purpose of a pilot program, to try things out. All right, we want to gain approval from the Social Equity Council and the Connecticut State Legislature to launch a pilot program to show the merit and satiate holes in our existing Connecticut cannabis markets. And how are we going to do that? Okay, so here's some legal definitions that we have in here. All right, the pilot program structure is based off the same structure as our Connecticut real estate market. Okay, we have a regulatory framework that we allow a multi-billion-dollar real estate industry to be governed by. Surely it will fit over a plant that grows naturally from the ground. All right, it's basically a cannabis broker overwatches all the cannabis farmers, so he's making sure that we're doing things sustainably. We're doing things the right way. It's just like a real estate broker. It is your job to make sure your agents aren't screwing up. Your agents aren't cutting corners, and if they do, you clip their wings, you find yourself a new farmer there. All right. There's also a training program in place which will work in tandem with our universities so that in order to become a cannabis broker, you have to work on a cannabis farm for a year. This is part of the apprenticeship model, okay, where people are able to, especially the good ones, they're going to have lines out the doors to get into them. The Cannabis Farmers Marketplace, okay. This you may have heard before, you may have seen before, our illustrious High Bazaar that was out there that was totally illegal. It doesn't mean that the model wasn't wrong, okay? To be able to go and congregate into a space, not unlike Xpocanna, for farmers to be able to bring their stuff to market with the municipality saying, okay, you can do this here. It is completely legal. It is completely legit. No more operating in the gray markets, okay? We have a legitimate place for hardworking farmers to come and bring their product. Taxes. Okay, so yeah, we're going to pay taxes. Guess what? I can grow for zero. It costs me nothing. So there's a lot of meat on that bone. I would be happy to share those taxes, 10% to the state of Connecticut, 5% to the cooperating municipality, and even 2% to that beleaguered social equity fund. There were some things going on with where that was going. All right, but that is not for me to judge there. All right. Also establishing a seed bank, a certified seed bank, and a certified clone area. So stores can source clones and seeds legally. Okay, you're seeing seeds and clones out there on the floor right now, but I think if certain regulatory agencies were to come around, there could be some problems around here. All right, we don't want those gray areas. We want everything to be legit. We want our farmers, our dealers to be able to put their head on the pillow and know they're working in a legitimate industry. All right. And just some of the guidelines for it, all right, and this is important because it's not easy. We're not saying just stick up and be a full-on, salt farm. This is exclusively outdoor, no pesticides at all, no sprays, no herbicides, no petrochemical fertilizers, sunlight and rainwater powered, adopting the existing regulations that are already there for outdoor recreational growers. All right, biodiversity, slowly or specifically organic amendments and organically certified integrated pest management solutions. That's your ecology. Those are your insects that are going to help keep things level. And believe me, when you're out there farming outdoors, you're going to lose some crop. Like that's just what happens. Okay, nature's going to take some of that away. But when you have a large margin on what you're growing, it's okay. You can lose if you have a farm of 100 plants and you lose 75 of those. Let's say aphids come in and wipe you out. You still have 25 plants that you can harvest that all you're in for is your time at that point. Okay, it is an extremely equitable program that I'm proposing here. All right, I say many hands. I say many hands lift great things a lot, okay? Because this is not for me to carry over the threshold, okay? I've had the idea, I've come forward, and honestly, I was hoping there would be more people in the stands today, okay? That are interested in a free market for the people, okay? But it is hard in the age of the internet to get people to turn out in reality, all right? But what I want to leave you with is a battle cry, okay? If you go out and you're in the public, I want you to be able to say, farmers markets now. Okay, I want you to be able to bring that. I believe in the power of voice a lot. I believe in reality. I learned the power of voice right up the street, right here in Camp Sloper. Okay, learning how to sing, learning how to sound off out loud. I perfected it as a teacher and a coach, and we as the people need it. So right now, okay, I'm going to ask all you guys to use your voices, and I just want to hear you say it together 3 times. All right, farmers markets now. Use our voices.
Farmers markets now.
Louder.
Farmers markets now.
Louder, one more time.
Farmers markets now.
Okay, it's a start, okay, and it's only 20 people, and it's hard. It's hard for me just to stand up here and use my voice in that manner, okay, but that is a galvanizer, okay? You bring people together when you can do that, and it's going to take more than the 20 people that are in this room. It's going to take hundreds of people going forward, hundreds of people bringing this to your appropriate state legislatures into your groups, okay? There's lobbyists, there's all kinds of things that you have to get past, all right? But it's not going to be just me alone. So if you're out there and you're doing this good, keep doing it, okay? Find allies that can help you, okay? And hopefully, again, first time I gave this speech, there was 4 people, all right? So I guess every 3 years at this rate, if we get to 15 years from now, we'll have a room full, maybe, all right? But I won't stop. All right.